So you said which one up? 13. Number 13. Number 13. Number 13. Just says this: if you have a garden hose and you're putting it away or whatever, usually you put it into a coil, which means you're just laying it on top of each other like this. So it ends up looking like a circle. So they just said this. When you coiled it, it had a diameter of 20 inches. Each loop was about how many feet long? All they're asking you for is the circumference of this circle. And circumference is I times diameter. The circumference equals 3.14 times 20. 3.14 times 20 is 62.8, I believe. Is that the answer? Oh wait.
I got 30.
Well, here's the issue. And there's where you got to make sure you read the problem and make sure you put that down in your notes there. The answer is 62.8 inches. They said about how many feet is that? So since there's 12 inches in a foot, you just divide that by 12. That's going to be 5, not quite 6. So it's closer to 5 than it is 6 if you do that division.
I got it like 6.2.
But I'm saying you did it wrong there, because I can guarantee you 6 times 12, Evan, is 72, so there's no way it can be 6. 5 times 12 is 60, so it's a lot closer to that than it's that. Easily.
Did you get this thing twice?
I did.
Okay, great. Just wanted to double check.
Did you think you were seeing like elevation?
Well, when I started grading, I'm going,
Depends the sound. Christine, so note to self, people, I would note to myself to make sure for problem 13 tomorrow, if you didn't do this, make sure you do. All right, Christine, which one?
Number 2.
Number 2. The walking distance between Chicago along Interstate 80 is 1,200 or 1,020 miles. The first thing I would do for that is draw my little thing here. And this is what? Denver and Chicago. Denver to Chi-Town is 1,020 miles. How long? Going 60 miles an hour. So every hour you go 60 miles. How do you figure that out? It's just a division problem. 1,020 divided by 60. 60 goes into that once. 60 goes into 427 times, so 17. Grace!
What was 15?
15 was 3.2. 3.2. Kelsey?
No, I don't get how I got number 5.
Which one?
Number 5?
Number 5. Well, I'm going to guess that you didn't use the right ratio. You're looking for the won to lost ratio. If you win 18 games and you play a total of 30 games, you have 18 wins, how many losses? 12. Because if you didn't win a game, you lost the game. So it's 18 wins, 12 losses, and they want the wins on top, over loss on the bottom. It's 18 over 12. And with proportions and ratios, you need to reduce them, but you need to leave them also as improper. Okay, because your win-to-loss ratio is 3 to 2. You don't say your win-to-loss ratio is 1.5 because nobody knows what that means. You win 1.5 games for every game you lost. I guess that's what it probably means. Christine?
I don't know, I get number 6 from.
6. Is that on the other side? Oh, here. All the way up. Almost all the way up. And did you draw on the bag, Christine, and put the yellow marbles in it?
Yeah.
You've got a bag containing 5 red, R, 3 green, which won't show up, green, and 4 yellow, which won't show up either, yellow. They want the probability that he draws a green marble. Well, how many green marbles are there here? 1, 2, 3. How many total marbles are there? 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Reduce that, it's 1/4. Michael, go up.
I don't understand how I got number 1 wrong.
Number 1. Getting off to a bad start, isn't it? Where is number 1? What percent of the passes did the quarterback? Did you draw a percent box? Well, that would be a helpful thing. What are we comparing here? We are comparing completed passes to incomplete passes. You add your complete with your incomplete, you get total passes. This is the percent. This is the actual. Let's fill in the blanks. How many passes did he complete? 18. How many total passes did he throw?
24.
So how many incomplete passes? 6. What's my total percentage? 100. And then they wanted to know what percent did the quarterback complete. I want to know that percent. I don't need this. So 18 over 24 equals what number over 100? Easiest way to do that one? Jacob? Yeah, 6 goes into both 18 and 24. So you end up with divide by 6, 3/4. And then 4 times what is 100? 4 times 25. So 3 times 25 is 75%. Dean,
Number 10.
Hannah, convert 7.5 gallons of quarts using a unit multiplier. Well, since I'm changing quarts to gallons, I need to know how many quarts are in a gallon. How many quarts are in 1 gallon?
4.
Right. So 4 quarts equals 1 gallon. If you go back to our unit multiplier thing, then step number 1 is to take your given measurement, 7.5 gallons, and put it over 1, make a fraction out of it, and you're going to multiply it by the unit multiplier that makes the labels cross off. So how do I write that there? Where does gallons have to go? On the bottom, because you want it to cross off. If gallons are going on the bottom, quarts go on top. There's 4 quarts in 1 gallon, and it's just a matter of 7.5 times 4 is 30. What label are you left with? Quarts. 30 quarts. Grace,
I don't understand what I got.
4. Yeah, 4 is a good one. Let me draw it here. I think I can come pretty close here. Again, you would do this on some graph paper here. Coordinates of a triangle ABC are A is 1, -2. 1, -2, right? That's point A. Point B is 4, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. That's point B. And point C is 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's your triangle, correct? Now, this is, reflecting about axes are really pretty easy here. Okay, what axis am I reflecting it about? The y-axis. Which one's the y-axis? This one right here. So this is like if I'm folding a piece of paper and bending it over and put this over here, what is this shape going to look like over here? All you need to do is this, okay? Draw horizontal lines from your points to the y-axis, like from here to here. That goes to my y-axis. How many units is that? Just 1. So I go that same distance over here and put a point. That's this reflected on that axis. Point B is on the x-axis and it's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So I go on the x-axis and go 1, 2, 3, 4 away this way. Point C, again, draw a line to that axis here. It is 3 away there, so I go 1, 2, 3 away here and put my point there. So this triangle reflected on the y-axis is going to look like this. What are those points? Well, A prime is -1, -2. B prime, still on the x-axis, is -4, 0. And C prime is going to be -3, +3, because it's 3 up. And that's the coordinates of those points. But you would do it on a nicer piece of graph paper, and you can easily see that. But all you have to do is draw these horizontal lines and then just count over. If you're reflecting it on the x-axis, then you draw your lines to the x-axis and go opposite side. That makes sense. Alex?
Number 8.
Numero 8. Eight would be the one where I certainly would use my notes for tomorrow, because I just write this down. First thing you want to do is find the lateral surface area. And the lateral surface area equals the perimeter times the height. Now, how do I know what the perimeter and the height of this shape are? Tough. Christian, how do I know what the perimeter and the height are? How do I know what the perimeter and the height are? Let me read the problem. Glenda wants to paint the exterior lateral surface area of her house. It's 8 feet high and has a perimeter of 120 feet. How do I know what the height and the perimeter are? It says right in the problem. So you're going to take the perimeter of 120, multiply it by the height of 8, and you get 960 square feet. Tomorrow's problem will be that. If one can paint 300 of those feet, your next step then is to divide by how much the can will cover. How do I know what that is? It says can covers 300 square feet. And here's where you have to be careful. If I take 960 divided by 300, 300 goes in 963 times, and then this leftover or decimal, whatever you want, okay? But you can't buy a leftover part of a can. You can't go to the Menards and say, I'd like 3.2 cans of paint. You have to buy that extra can, so that's where the number 4 comes from. You have to buy 4 cans. You'll have some left over. Maybe you can use it to touch other stuff up later on in life, but you're going to have some stuff left over. So there's no reason why on tomorrow you can't judge yourself a little note about that, because it's just going to be the same thing, just different numbers. Evan?
20.
what would be the first thing you do on number 20? You do distributive property. Did you do that? Yeah. What'd you get? You get this 3x here plus
3x plus 3x minus
3 times 2 is not 9, it's 6. Plus 3. Then you just combine like terms. What do I get if I add 3x's and 3x's? 6x's. If I have negative 6 plus 3, I get minus 3. Bryce?
I don't understand number 18 and 19.
Kids, we do way too much of this multiplying scientific notation for you not to be getting this. When you multiply scientific notation, it's a two-step process. First step is, well, 3 steps, I guess. First step, Eli? Multiply the left sides. What do I get if I multiply 3 times 1.2? 3.6, correct? Step 2 is I write down times 10, and then what? Third step is Smith? Multiplication is adding exponents. What do I get if I add negative 6 and a negative 4? Negative 10. Now let's, because we're on the whole subject there, what about for division? It's really the same thing. You divide these two, which gives you 2.5, and write down times 10. What do you do when you divide? Subtract exponents. 3 from 8 is 5. Subtract. And then number 19. 19, you have to remember, this is all addition here. But before you add these top 3 terms together, you really need to simplify them and get rid of all those extra signs that you don't need. So here, this negative 3 is all by itself. There's nothing in front of the parentheses, so it stays negative 3. Here, a negative 2 is the same thing as a positive 2. 2 negatives next to each other give you a positive. And here, a positive and a negative next to each other give you a negative. Once you get those signs off, then you can just add them together. Negative 3 plus 2 is a negative 1. And a negative 1 plus another negative 1 is negative 2. There's more in the whole. On the bottom, this is multiplication because there's no sign between the parentheses. So you just multiply negative 1 and negative 2. 2 negatives give you a positive. 1 times 2 is 2. And then to simplify that fraction, you just divide 2 into 2. Negative 1. Jacob.
Number 9.
That was good 9. No? No number 9? Malcolm can drive about 300 miles between a 12-gallon Phillips at the same rate. Here's the key. At that rate, what does that mean? You have equal ratios or equal fractions. So you are talking about 300 miles. It took how many gallons? 12 gallons. That's an equal rate to, and if miles are on top over here, you have to put miles on top over here. 125 miles will take how many gallons? Again, just equal fractions there. How do I solve that? If you're brave, I suppose you could reduce. But let's not, let's just do the math. Cross multiply, I get 300 times x equals 12 times 125. Most people aren't really excited about multiplying 125 times 12, but it's not too bad, is it? 250, 125, you get, looks like 1,500. How do I solve it from here? Anybody? Yep. You get x by itself, you divide by 300, and fortunate for everybody, 300 goes nicely into that 5 times. Equal ratios are equal fractions, equal rates are equal fractions. It's like the proverbial piece of proverbial cake. There's still more out there, kids. Christine,
Number 3,
number 30.
33.
33?
No.
And once again, what is a down payment, by the way? Jacob?
It's for extra money you have to pay for like expensive things.
Right. When you buy a house, sometimes when you buy a car, okay, if you don't have, here's the problem people run into. Okay, if you go buy a house from the bank and you don't have any money at all, and they loan you all that money, like $250,000, if you can't pay them, what happens? Okay, if you can't make the payments, they get the house back, and there's a chance that they won't be able to sell it for the same price that you bought it for, so they're going to lose money. There's a chance. Well, to stop that from happening, the bank says, okay, you can buy your $250,000 house, but you need to put some money down on it. In other words, you need to give us, this would be $50,000. You need to give us $50,000. We'll loan you the rest, but we need that $50,000 just in case you can't make your payments and we get your house back. At least we know we're not gonna lose everything, and it's kind of like an insurance sort of thing. Same thing with the car. A lot of times you can't borrow all that money, especially with cars, they lose their value so fast, you know. So to find percent down, it's just like tax and tip, it's a multiplication problem. You want to know what 20% of multiplication 23,900 is. So you just change this to a decimal, which is 0.20, but you don't need the 0. Why monkey the water with zeros? So just leave it as 0.2. 23,900 times 0.2. 0, 0, 18, 6, 7, 4, 1 decimal place. 20% of $23,900 is $4,780. Note to self, multiplication. It's 2.5.
I didn't really get it.
14. 14. Again, with areas of plates, please make sure you know circumference of a circle and area of a circle. This says area of a circle, right, Ev? It's a 10 inch. Did you draw a circle with a 10-inch diameter in it? Sir?
Did I know?
That's why not. Raise your hand if you did draw a circle. Just don't. I struggle when it says it's a plate. Is a plate not a circle? Anytime you hear the word diameter, shouldn't you think circle? Area is what? Pi times radius times radius. That's what I put in my notes. Pi is 3.14, and what's the radius? 5, because this is the diameter, radius is half of it. So I'm going to take 3.14 times 5 times 5, which is 3.14 times 25, which gives you looks like 0.7346. Let's say to round it, it's about how many? Did I get that right? No, I didn't do it right. It should be 7. It should be 7 somehow here. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? 70 and 15. 13, 1. Let's do that again. Let's take take my time. 3.14 times 25, 22, 7, 15. Put a 0 down there. 8, 2, no. 6? Yeah. 0, 15, 1. 78.5, which is close to 80. An extra 0. It's on stop. Michael Bruel.
I didn't understand number 7.
Back to number 7. 5. Did you sketch out the rectangle, sir?
Yeah.
Aquarium that is 8 inches wide, 15 inches long, and 10 inches deep. Raise your hand if you didn't sketch the aquarium. Yes, you got it? Well, fortunately for you, this is a rectangular prism. And the formula is a very simple one for volume of a prism. It's just length times width times height. Just multiply all 3 of those together, which would be what, 15 times 10 times 8, or 15 times 80, which is 1,200 inches squared. Michael, I'm curious what you did. What did you do that you didn't get it? It doesn't seem like it would be too much of an issue. Sir?
Sure.
What's up? You don't know? This problem here, I'm sure somebody got it wrong. The area of this figure, well, the rectangle is easy because it's just 20, right? 5 times 4. How do you find the area of this triangle? You know this is 5, you can figure this out, it's 4. How do I know what this side is here? In the right triangle, Sammy, I should look for? Yep, look for the Pythagorean triple. Is there a 5, 4? Or 5, 4, 3? So the triangle is 1/2 base times height. 3 times 4 is 12. Half of 12 is 6. So add the 6 with the 20. Your total area is 26 inches squared. Okay,
Oh, I let you use that paper for our test.
so it's right here. I'm not going to stop you from looking at it, by all means. By all means, use it. Can you see it? Crystal clear? How about that? What else is left here? Anything? 16? 16, again, you should know the first step in any equation is to simplify each side. You can put like terms together here. 3x's minus an x is 2x. Solving equations is always the same. What's the next step there? You always wait to divide this little guy from his friend. You gotta get rid of that -1 by doing the opposite, which is adding 1. 2x equals 16 divided by 2 divided by 2. Please make sure, like problem number 11, these are similar triangles, which means all their angles have to be equal. So you know that this side and this side correspond because they're square root there. But then it would have to be the small angle on this one would have to correspond with the small angle on this one, and that would be this one. A and Y have to be the same, B and X have to be the same. Even though it's a little warped on my board, that's the way that works. Problem 15, no better way to do it than cross multiply. 3 times n equals 8 times 1.2. 3n equals what? 9.6 divided by 3 3, 1, 2. Is that all of them? Perfect.